All right, everybody, what's going on? We are going to do a high intensity interval training workout today, full body. I typically only train full body. I might isolate joints or muscles depending if I'm trying to create more mobility, stability, whatever you want to call it, balance in my system. But basically, today's workout is a full body workout. I typically do these movements, and I've been practicing these movements. These are functional patterns movements, and I really like the way my body feels when I complete these movements because the posture and form actually helps all of the bodily systems kind of come together. With the mobility training, kind of specifically working on the joints that need the most work for this type of training. And then also before this exercise or before this workout, make sure that you've walked at least a mile or have done some type of warm-up, that you're not just getting into this, and that you've completed all these before, so these aren't just new movements. So if you've never done any of these things in the med ball, kettle, or cable circuit, you're going to want to look up functional patterns. And if you've never done controlled articular rotations, just YouTube that and look up functional range conditioning. So we're going to get started with the controlled articular rotations. I'm going to start my watch here, and we're going to see how many calories we burn during this workout. I also have a clock here that will start now, and this is going to time our workout. And what we're going to do is, like I said, controlled articular rotations, med ball circuit, kettlebell circuit, and then cable circuit. We're going to do a warm-up, our circuit training, and then during our circuit training, we're going to go for about 10 reps or 30 seconds. And then we're going to take about 30 seconds off. So we're going to take some time off, and then I'll probably turn the music on so I won't be going over everything. I am going to go over the controlled articular rotations and the pals and rails for the mobility aspect. And then when we get to the med ball circuit, kettlebell circuit, and cable circuit, that's when I'm going to probably turn the music on and just get going. So just try to copy the movements. It's really hard to explain these movements if you just started, so I really can't give you too much technical terms. I can help you out with mobility. And the other thing, you're just gonna have to really just try to copy or just look up functional patterns. So let's go ahead and get started with our controlled articular rotation. So I've already done my full body controlled articular rotations. So basically we're just gonna work on our hips, knees, and shoulders. And then we're going to do some pals and rails for the combat or dorsiflexion of the foot, and then hip internal rotation, and then shoulder external rotation, okay? And then we can do that in different ways, okay? So we'll start here with our controlled articular rotations. Set the timer, see how long it takes us to do this. So we're going to start with our knees. These are really important. I like to perform my knee mobility exercises on the ground. Just making sure first, the patella, that you can move it in a 360-degree pattern without it hurting. Now, if there's any pain or any issues in this area, then this might not be a good workout for you. So just making sure the patella is safe and sound, that you take it around 360 degrees. All the way around, making sure there's no pain. Now, if there is pain, then you just want to passively push slightly into that area and try to just hold it as long as you can, and do that as many times as prescribed by your functional range conditioning practitioner. So we're just kind of manipulating or mobilizing, moving the kneecaps around. This is the only thing that we're going to do passively today. So meaning that nothing is contracting. So you can't move the patella if you're contracting your quadriceps, so that's why we have to relax. You can do these with the thumbs or the palm. The more advanced and the more you do this, you can do this in several different ways, so you kind of get used to moving your own kneecaps. All right, so a controlled articular rotation for the knee. I'm going to wrap the same ipsy-sided arm around the hamstring or thigh. I'm going to hook around with the contralateral arm, and what we're going to do is extend the knee, but we're going to externally rotate the tibia first. So you can internally rotate and externally rotate. So we're flexing the knee, external and internal. So we're going to go external, extend, in, and down. Out, up, in, down. Out, up, in, down. Let's go the opposite way. In and up, out and down. In and up, out and down. One more time. In and up, out and down. Now what I'm going to do is hook around the outside of the foot with the opposite hand. And what I'm going to do is hold on to the forearm here. And what I can do here is some kinetic stretches into external rotation of the tibia. So what I'm doing is I'm strengthening the outside of the knee here as I kinetically stretch that external rotation, okay? Now if I want to hit internal rotation, hold on the same sided hand and hook underneath the calf and then go in, just like this. So that would be a kinetic stretch for internal rotation of the tibia. If you've had pain or issues in these sides of the knees, then these would be some exercises to perform to see if you have the strength. Now, if you get some pain here when I'm pulling this foot out, if you get pain in the medial aspect of the knee, then that's a major issue. Okay, there shouldn't be any pain here. Okay. Now, what you can do is when you kinetically stretch, you should put a little bit of resistance in that area while you do that. Okay. So that would be a little bit of controlled articular rotations for that side. Let's get the other side. Out and up, in and down, out, up, in and down. My whole body, forgot to mention during the knee cars or any exercises we do from here on out, is everything's contracting. I'm not just isolating this side, so I'm using bioflow. I'm using my whole entire body to control everything that I'm doing. Yes, definitely get that internal and external rotation, making sure you're able to do that. Out and up, in and down, out, up, in, down, out, up, in, down, in and up, out and down, and up, out and down. One more, in, up, out and down. Then from here, kinetic stretches, getting here the outside of the knee, so going external rotation. Kinetic knee stretch. You can definitely feel that in the ankle as well. Okay, other side. Good, okay, so that takes care of our knee for now. Then what we're going to do is focus on our hips. So let's get into our let's get into our quadruped position, hands and knees. And what we're going to do is just start going through some hip cars. So bringing the knee up toward the armpit, abduct the hip, make sure the dorsiflex of the ankle and the knee is flexed all the way. Then we're going to extend the hip back and try to get that hip up without arching your back. Okay, let's do that again. I don't have a lot of extension on this side. I'm working toward that. Other way. Again, keeping my whole body controlled throughout this process. Other side, up and out. Going 3 around one way, and then 3 around the other way. Now notice here, I want to see this without arching my back, so I have to keep a posterior pelvic tilt. So this is our hip flexion, okay? As you see, there's almost 0 degrees of hip flexion, maybe 5 to 10, okay? Now, we want to have really good hip flexion because that's what drives our glutes, So that's why we practice this during our controlled articular rotations, because we're wondering, do I have real hip extension? And if I don't, how can I get there? Okay, so those were some controlled articular rotations for the hips. I'm going to just do a quick 90-90 transition. Also explore the hips here. So I'm going to get into my 90-90, knees at 90, hips at 90. Okay. If you have a square tile, that can also help. If you're wondering where your leg should be parallel to. Okay. What I'm going to do is face forward, tee out my arms, hold here, inhale, hold the air low, twist, open up the hip, turn that foot out into my bear pose, and then transfer over to the other side. Now your first one is probably going to be the worst one. Breathe, and let's go to the other side, twist, open up the hip, turn the foot, then lift this knee off the ground into your bear pose. From here, let's go back one more time. Twist, open up the hip, let the knee go off the ground. Other side, keep the arms out. Back to 90-90. Let's go the other way. Into our bear. Hold right here. Good. Okay? So that was a little bit of hip transition with 90-90 there. Now we're going to get shoulder ER. You can do this a couple different ways. I'm going to use a dowel. You could also just use a post. It's going to get more of the pec. What we're going to do is just hold this position passively for 2 minutes. And then we're going to, let's get our shoulder curves first. So first, let's just get our shoulder curves. We're just going to stand hip width distance, squeeze the fists, bring your arms straight out, internally rotate, extend, reach back, keep the body solidified all the way down to extension. Extension, hyperextension, externally rotate, flex forward and down. That's rep 1. Flex forward, internally rotate, reach back, extend, keep torquing that arm, half of rep 1, back, externally rotate, all the way up, forward, and down. Let's go one more time. Flex, internally rotate, extend, adduct. Extend, externally rotate, flex, adduct. All right, let's get the other side. Trying to let that head jet forward. Really trying to explore the outermost space that you can with that shoulder without moving anything else in the body. Notice that my shoulder went forward there. Got poor internal rotation on this left shoulder. But that's for another day. So for the shoulder external rotation, you can use a beam. I'm actually going to use a cable for this. So I'm going to weight this stack so that I can't move it, so it's immovable. I'm going to put my elbow at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to hold here. Inhale and exhale. Just breathe. Sorry, opposite foot should be forward. Elbows at 90 degrees. Can't move the cable. You can also use a TRX strap, which is probably more recommended. Breathe and hold, or a ring strap. Holding external rotation, go to your passive range, wherever that is. Good. From here, we're going to start pushing that cable forward in this position. Now, if you have some shoulder tingling and you're probably going a little bit too far, or you're going into a threshold you don't want to get into yet, so maybe just lighten the load a little bit. So from here, 10% pushing forward, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, irradiate, 80, 90, 100 for 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and other way. Try to get some slack in the cable. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and back to your passive stretch. And you might feel some cramping, as I do, in the posterior delt. That's just a little bit of neurological confusion. It's wondering what you're doing. When we're telling it, we want to own that aspect of our shoulder because we typically don't even attempt to do that. So let's go ahead and get the other side. Opposite foot should be forward. Split stance. Hold passive, breathe and hold. Elbows at 90. Find your passive range of external rotation for that shoulder. Breathe. Start to push that cable forward. 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%, 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and rouse. Try to create some slack in the cable by going deeper into external rotation without compromising your posture. 3, 2, and 1, and back to your passive stretch. Good. That would be external rotation, pals and rails. Now we're going to do some internal rotation, pals and rails for your back leg in 90-90. So we're going to go back to our 90-90 position. What we're going to do here is just twist toward our back side, bring your hands behind you, and kind of really corkscrew the hands into the ground. Just focus on our breathing here. And if there's an issue here, then this might not be the stretch for you, which means it's not going to be the workout for you. Okay, so that's something that you might want to take care of first. This is high intensity interval training. So just make sure that you take the right progressive steps to get here. Just keep breathing. Notice that, by looking at a camera or a mirror, you can really see if you're lined up right. So this would be my 90-90 position. Okay, just like this if I'm going external rotation, and internal rotation just like this, or internal rotation, you can also reach back like this, so this would be more advanced. just like this, holding here, okay? So most people are gonna put their hands here, which is totally fine. Remember, you're just focusing on the hip here, so we're not working on our back. That's the point of being specific when you're training isolated joints, okay? There's a time for isolation, there's a time for when everything comes together. But remember, during this isolation, our whole body is engaged. So that's our bioflow aspect. So there is no component where we're really just isolating the hip. The whole hip is the entire body in this position. So from here, we're gonna start pushing the foot and everything, contracting all the tissue on the inside, medial aspect of that leg into the ground with our hands corkscrewed, or in this advanced position, breathe and hold. 10%, 20%, 30%, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100% effort. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Rails contraction, trying to get the foot off the ground, going deeper into our internal rotation. As high as you can. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly bring it down. Good. And go back to your passive stretch. And what we'll do is we'll transfer over to the other side, just like we did before. So let's get the other side. Breathe into that position. Might feel tighter on one side or the other, and that's something just to take note of. And basically, when we perform all these pals and rails, when we perform any controlled articular rotations, when we're isolating the joint, we're basically just assessing the joint as we are strengthening it, as we are creating resilient tissue, as we are maintaining the tissue, as we are mobilizing the tissue. What we're doing is we're basically understanding our tissue by way of force. Force, like Dr. Dre says, is the language of your cells, okay? Which means that to really be specific, to specifically examine something, you have to use the laws of specificity, neurological adaptation, progressive overload, and many other aspects. So from here, we're in internal rotation. Start pressing the foot and knee and hip into the ground for 10%, 20%, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. This foot and knee are still pressing in, 60 to 70%, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, 90 to 100%. Hold for 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Lift off into your rails contraction. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly bring it down. Now let's transition to the other side, or to bear. Hold here. Now let's get our combat stance, ankle dorsiflexion, pals and rails, and then we'll get started in our workout. So we're just going to bring the knee over the toe, trying to keep the heel on the ground. It's the most important part. And holding here. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Now if your back foot is bothering you, you can always put this foot on a box, but if your back foot is bothering you, then this workout won't be for you. You'll want to fix that, because if you're not able to sit comfortably like this and you're having issues with plantar flexion in the back foot, then that's something that you need to either work on or get fixed before you attempt this. Notice I'm leaning the center of my mass over the knee. From here, in our pals contraction, we'll press down with our foot. In our rals contraction, we'll try to dorsiflex our foot even further. Okay, so right now we're in our passive stretch. From here, we're going to start pressing the foot into the ground. 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%, 35%, 40%, 50%, 60, 70, 80, all the way to 100%. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, now toe toward the shin. Try to lift the toe up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to your passive stretch. Good. Okay. So for dorsiflexion of the left ankle, what we're going to do is just press the heel into the ground. Back foot is in plantar flexion, and our back knee is flexed almost all the way. We're sitting on our back knee as we bring the center of our mass over our front knee. Breathing here in dorsiflexion. In our combat base, inhale for 4, exhale for 8. Again, if you have issues with this back foot, you can always put this on top of a box and hold on to some dowels or hold on to the wall. It also means that you want to check your back plantar flexion or both your plantar flexions in your foot and make sure there's no issues there before carrying out any type of training program. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8. Make sure you feel most of the stretch in this front ankle. Right behind, right in the Achilles. If you feel a closing angle pinch here, that's a major issue in your front right here. If you have an acute pinch right here, that's something that you want to get checked out. If you can't get into this position, then you're going to have to just bring yourself out of this position and just, if you can't hold it for 2 minutes, then try to hold it for 30 seconds and then try 45 seconds the next time. So these are all in progression, so you don't have to start with 2-minute holds. You don't have to do pals for 30 seconds and rounds for 30 seconds. You can kind of go at your own pace or as prescribed. What I mean by prescribed is just ask somebody what you should do. Typically they're going to say get an FRA, which is an assessment, and then they can tell you. So from here, what we're going to do is start pressing the foot into the ground. 10%, 20%, 30%, trying to make sure that my posture is good. 40%, 50, 60, 70, 80,
90 to 100% of my safest and greatest effort. 7, 3, 2, and try to pull that foot up toward the shin. Deepen the dorsiflexion. 5, 4, 3, 2, and back to your passive stretch. You may have gained about 5 to 10 degrees there. Just go into that passive range. You can complete that again on your own time, but that will kind of complete our warm-up today before we get into our high intensity interval training. So what I like to do right after something like that is just give my ankles a little bit of feedback and just give them some circles here, control the articular rotations of the ankle. And as you see, we're doing a 30-minute warm-up here. We're not just throwing ourselves into the fire here. That was just to really help prepare your tissue for the assault it's about to take. And then after this, I'm going to actually go through a full mobility practice, isometric movement patterns, and some other FRC work. Okay, so this is just half of my workout. Okay. When we get into the high intensity interval training program, I'm going to turn the music on. That's when you can either follow along, you can watch these and just try to follow along, or make sure that you know what we're doing. So the first thing we're going to do is our med ball circuit. We're going to start with slams. Number 1, 2 is lunge slam, 3 is roll jump slam, 4 is going to be roll lunge slam, and then 5 is going to be a tomahawk slam. For kettle circuit, we're going to do a single arm swing, then we're going to do a double arm swing, and then we're going to do a roll press for 3, and we're going to do a lateral jump, and then a pendulum swing. Okay. For the cable circuit, let me just get the board here. So let's just go over this again real quick. Okay. You can see that. So we have our med ball circuit. First thing we're going to do is slam it, then we're going to do a lunge slam, and then a roll jump slam, and then a roll lunge slam, and then a tomahawk slam. For kettle, we're going to do a single arm swing, and then a double arm swing, then a roll press, then lateral jumps, and then a pendulum swing. For cable circuit, we're going to do a push split, a pull split, a rollover, a punch, and a thoracic rotation. Okay. So that's going to be basically, if you can see that, our training program today. So if you skip that whole warm-up, this is where we are right now. If you did warm up, then your tissues are going to thank you because they're going to be well prepared. So we're going to start at 30 minutes in. You're going to get something to drink and turn the music on. Let's go ahead and start this. Just start it over. You start with that slam. Now we're going to do a lunge slam. Take a little bit of breather here. Really open up here. Push it down. So use about all TVA and then obliques here.
arm, or two double arm now. Roll press. Lateral jump. Pendulum. Cable circuit. Push split. Make sure this is in line with the forearm. full split. Roll over. Punch. Round one. We'll do 2 more rounds. Start at 20 minutes. See that?